my friends, I'm Gosia from Cosmic Agency. This is a very short introduction to this video on diet tips and nutrition and health in general. And some of you might ask, why didn't we share this before? Because it's like a compilation. It's a mix of different conversations from the last years, and we never shared it. Why? Well, because it was never given as a whole topic. Here I put it all together and meshed it all together in one, but actually it was just random conversations here and there. They were just put away somewhere, but it was never like long enough to be shared. At some point I was gonna make the whole complete video on nutrition, and I was putting that away. So anyway, this information is mostly from Aneeka and Yazhi and Swaruu all combined into this one video. And in the next video I'm gonna share with you health issues in Tibetan society versus Earth. Enjoy the video, and I'm gonna see you soon. Originally in Spanish, 2021.
And how do you lose weight? If you eat a lot, you get fat, right? Doesn't it work like that?
It does not depend on calories. That is another lie of human medical science. It depends on the insulin index provoked by each type of food.
So, the calories thing, that's not correct.
Stop counting calories. Better stop eating what triggers insulin. It's not fat that makes you fat. It's insulin.
I need a certain amount of calories to get through the day, don't I?
Forget that. It's garbage. Not true.
But what products have insulin in them?
Everything triggers insulin. But some things produce less insulin than others. They do not contain insulin, but they contain a high glucose content, which in turn will trigger an insulin production reaction in the body, which is what triggers the formation of fat cells. Eating fats reduces the need for insulin production, which lowers the amount of fat cells in the human body. In other words, eating things with healthy, basically unrefined, fats reduces the amount of fat in the body. What stimulates insulin the most is everything that contains wheat flour, then soy and corn, then sugars of all kinds. But the most insulin producing and therefore the most fattening is everything containing wheat flour. That's the number one offender. It produces about 10 times more glucose and therefore insulin reaction than sugar. Plus, wheat flour has a highly inflammatory effect that sugar consumption does not produce. If you stop eating breads and pastas and all that, replace it with healthy vegetables and fruits, and fill up on products like real cheese without flour and additives, and eggs, you can consume eggs in the quantities you want, you will lose weight, increase performance, sleep better, increase muscle mass if you exercise, and have more energy.
Calories, that's a complete fake. People don't get fat because of calories, not that, but by the body's insulin response to what it eats, being that some foods cause more insulin than others. Insulin causes fat to be stored because it is not burned in favor of glucose, which burns faster, making the body lazy by not wanting to metabolize fats for energy, because it is easier to turn to blood sugars. So it is the starches, carbohydrates, and sugars that cause fattening, and not calories.
And cholesterols, forget that. It's 100% junk. People with more cholesterol are healthier, And about there being several kinds of cholesterol, that's also garbage. Cholesterol does not produce heart attacks. What produces atheromas, arterial clogging, and heart attacks is an inflammation process, produced by an excess of products based mainly on wheat flour, then sugars as well.
Can I eat a lot of eggs, fried or boiled? Which is better?
The more cooked, the harder it is to digest, but it is still healthy. But the best way to consume eggs is with the minimum possible cooking. That is to say, boiled eggs for only 3 minutes. Or the most practical is the fried egg that still keeps the liquid yolk.
What about cornbread?
It depends on your acceptance. Be careful with that too. Palm oil is toxic. Cornbread is 10 times better than wheat bread, but it still produces a very strong glucose effect. At least it does not produce the same inflammatory reaction, and that is the main benefit of cornbread.
For oils, I only use olive or sunflower oil.
They are not so bad, but olive oil is preferable that you don't burn it. Just heat it or not at all. When olive oil burns, it becomes an inflammatory fat. It is very good, but raw.
I only put it in salads. I never burn it because I have corn toast.
Very good, with the hummus too. Yummy chickpeas. If you remove wheat in all its forms from your diet, I guarantee that in a few weeks, 2 weeks at the earliest, you will see strong results of weight loss, improved figure, and more energy. It may be sooner than 2 weeks, but the process takes at least 7 days to start purifying. So I am not saying a week, but no cheating or days of eating everything. Wheat is also a neurotoxic that produces mental fatigue, clouded thoughts, forgetfulness of things and names, and total lack of mental agility. Continue with your exercises, training, eat super well and none of the above, stick to eggs and all that is healthy, and you will see a change. But yes, no sugars and no wheat. Exercise is important to lose weight, but it is only 20% of why you lose weight. The remaining 80% is diet. If you eat poorly, it is useless to exercise to lose weight. I will eat whatever I want, but I will do 2 hours of hard exercise a day. That doesn't work.
But to lose weight, you do need exercise to consume the glycogen in your blood to go into ketosis, which is when the body consumes body fat as fuel and not glucose from sugars and carbohydrates.
The only sugar you don't have to remove is the impossible one to remove, or fructose from fruits. Fructose is sugar, but it is processed in the body differently than refined cane sugar. Also beware of things with high sugar content but disguised, such as ketchup, which contains a lot of sugar and it is not visible. The same goes for products with a lot of wheat that is there, but they don't tell you. So if you eat nothing that is processed in a factory, nothing industrialized, you will get better results.
You said I can drink almond milk?
It sounds like it. But cow's milk is inflammatory and lactose is bad for men because the body turns it into estrogen. And the older you are, being a man, the less milk you can drink. If you want dairy, eat cheeses and yogurts because the fermentation process destroys the lactose. Eat as much as you want. But beware that many industrialized cheeses contain a lot of wheat flour, and then they don't even say so.
And one thing, coffee.
Coffee is a mess. Since it is not consumed here, we don't have a reference.
Which is better, coffee or cocoa powder?
Cocoa? But again, cocoa, not powdered chocolate with 1,000 industrial things in it. Coffee does keep the body in a state of alarm, in constant stress. I would not recommend it. It keeps the adrenals at maximum, which promotes fatigue afterwards. And what to me is most important against coffee is that it keeps people very much in the 3D, in the matrix, in what exists with the 5 senses, putting to sleep or removing the attention from the other extrasensory senses.
Wow, I did not know that.
There are other complex reasons, but going back to the most obvious one is that coffee keeps the organism in a state of constant high adrenaline alarm, which puts the whole organism in a state of struggle. And that is very survival of the so-called 3D body. And in this state of pure survival alarm, all the subtle things that come with relaxation are turned off because they are not necessary for survival. Because if a tiger comes running at you to eat you, it is of no use to have remote vision. And for the body, coffee is an adrenal reaction, as if you were always living with a tiger or whatever, stalking you. If you give up coffee in favor of the energy that comes from good food, exercise, and rest, you will have more physical energy and everything else that is not physical as well. But they won't tell you that there on Earth. They will tell you that coffee is good because you burn more fat, for example. Okay, yes, but then you will have a strong rebound and you will have no energy and you will need more and more coffee. The reality is that drinking coffee is a legal drug to promote the exploitation of people who must comply with slave work schedules. That is what it is for. They are exhausted from working in an office, bored and not eating well, not sleeping and stressed because of the end of the month tax return. Of course they will say that coffee is good.
Is it true that it causes insomnia?
Yes, it does. If you don't feel it that much yet, it is because your body can still compensate the effects of the little coffee you consume with its control mechanisms. And because you know how to relax. Even so, it is affecting you, whether you want it or not.
Coffee puts the body in a state of crisis, overloads the adrenals, drains the neurotransmitters, causing little depolarization, causes dependence, after which you have to increase the dose. Coffee is misleading because many argue that it does not cause addiction or that a little bit of it does not cause anything. It shuts down the pineal gland, making people very 3D, very much rooted in the mundane, turns off creative alpha waves and puts people in beta, receptive to mental programming, mind control. Black tea and derivatives, same effects as coffee. Green tea, so recommended there, causes gall and kidney stones. Besides, coffee does open to the possession of a certain range of entities. That is why it is promoted. People are vulnerable to mental manipulation, mind control. Chamomile infusion, for example, healing with de-inflammatory and antibacterial effects. It promotes healing of the gastric system and with it the mind. Can cause intoxication and stones if taken in large quantities.
Another thing, what about wine? Not that I drink wine, Just asking.
Here they are already quoting me that wine is a waste of good grapes. There is nothing in the wine that you won't get from eating the grapes directly. Eat those until your belly shines. They are good. Yes, they have a lot of fructose, but it doesn't matter because of all the other good stuff it has.
Too bad it has seeds.
Those are more natural. They're the best. Just eat them or take them out. And grape skins are full of antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. Alcohol of all kinds makes you prone to possessions and interference from lower astral entities. It combines with your thought frequencies, yes, but it is opening you up to those entities. In English, different types of drinks are called spirits. It's not just semantics. That's for a strong specific reason. It attracts spirits.
Is rice good?
Rice has a high rate of glycemic and insulin reaction, just like the popcorn you eat. It is not as bad as wheat flour, but preferably don't eat that either.
Keep in mind that vitamin concentrates like Centrum do you little, if any, good, because the vitamins and minerals in there are mostly synthetic, which makes it not absorbable. So you're just producing expensive urine for yourself. And some can cause kidney and gallbladder stones, like the synthetic calcium they give to old ladies for osteoporosis. They don't absorb it. So the best source of vitamins and minerals are fruits and vegetables, and not vitamin supplements. For example, vitamin C is sold as ascorbic acid, and that is not vitamin C. Besides the fact that there are many variants of vitamin C, ascorbic acid is not vitamin C. On Earth they say it is, only because the molecule is the same, but in mirror view. The molecule is upside down, and that is why it does not have the bonds that the body needs to absorb it as an antioxidant, remaining only as an acid. The acid of ascorbic acid can be beneficial, but it is because of the acid itself, not because it is vitamin C. But you can find those benefits by taking some apple cider vinegar, especially after heavy meals, and optimally if taken before, during, and after the heavy meal, or the meal with a lot of sugar and carbohydrates.
Just because the molecule is the same.
Yes, but that molecule is upside down, like mirror view. They can't synthesize it. I don't know why, but that makes all the difference. So I warn you that ascorbic acid is not vitamin C. That's a scam by Big Pharma. Nothing on earth is going to give you vitamin C other than fruits and vegetables, or some seeds and red meat as well. Many things seem healthy and are not, being that they're sugar and carbohydrates, like alcohol that gets processed as sugar. Also potatoes are sugar. The salty things also get processed often as sugar. It is not about whether it tastes salty or sweet, but how the body processes it. It is worse to eat a piece of bread than to eat a piece of candy. Bread and carbohydrates such as spaghetti, pasta, flour are many times stronger and cause more glycogen than eating a sweet candy piece. If you see the ingredients of something that you can't pronounce, such as sinodeoxyriboglycerinatida oxydentanecode, modified glucose, or you don't understand those numbers, it means that they're toxins. Only what you can understand at simple glance in the ingredient list is safe. In addition, everything modified is transgenic. In other words, what you should eat the most is cheese and meat, not milk if you're a man, because it destroys your testosterone and produces estrogen. If you're a woman, it doesn't matter. then lots of fruits and vegetables, and very little to no flours and sugars. Cheese no longer has lactose, so it no longer reacts as estrogen, and you can eat it freely. Just beware that some cheeses have flour, but that's another problem.
And vegetable milk, yes or no?
Soy, never if you're a man. It also hurts women. But if you're a man, soy destroys your testosterone and promotes the formation of estrogen, to the extent that men can even develop boobs from eating soy. Coconut milk? Good. Almond milk? Good. Whole grain rice is not good for you. White rice is better, but it does cause a lot of glycogen, unlike what they tell you there.
Is high blood pressure bad?
There is a cause for high blood pressure, and it is a response of the body trying to get blood to places where there is not enough supply. Now, you have to look at why there's not enough supply. Usually the cause is that it's not getting to the organs or some organs of the body or the brain. This happens because you're under a lot of stress, so as a bodily response, the body cuts off the blood supplies to places where it is not needed for immediate survival. It cuts off the gastric system and the brain in favor of the legs and muscles, because you're in a life or death situation that you need blood to fight. The problem is that the body does not differentiate between a danger like a tiger stalking you that you have to run from and a tax return round the corner and you not having money to pay. So people live in a state of perpetual stress, which chronically restricts blood flow to internal organs and the brain, causing a vessel constriction response to raise blood pressure to ensure the supply of oxygen and nutrients in the blood to the compromised organs and tissues. So it is a reaction of trying to solve a problem, a symptom or reaction to the problem, but it is not the problem. And of course, if it stays high for too long or past a limit, it will burst the blood vessels in the weakest place, causing a problem such as a brain, eye, or heart attack or some other organ. So taking medicines that lower blood pressure would only cause the problem of reducing blood supply to compromised places, and does not solve the problem that is the stress, accumulated already as a way of life.
And to open the pineal gland?
I cannot recommend any product. You don't need it. To open the pineal gland in terms of products, fasting is better.
You once told me that we get the protein subject wrong too, right? Dietary proteins.
Basically the part where they say that plant proteins can replace animal proteins in the diet, and that is not the case. They are different. And not everyone can be on the vegan diet. You can't impose one diet for everybody when organisms are different. Some can be vegan, and that remains to be seen, but most cannot for health reasons.
Beans, for example, are notorious for causing gastric distress, hence the flatulence after you eat them. That is a body rejection response. They say that beans and all that are full of protein, and with that you have enough. The problem is that time and time again, our lab results indicate that this protein is of low quality and is incompatible for absorption by the human gastric system.
Yes, but what I have heard is that vegan food preserves your teeth more, right? Or not?
Actually less. It depends on the consistency of what you eat. But without animal protein, your teeth start to fall out. Although teeth, that's a complicated topic. They also happen to be like breakers or energy nodes that control organs in the body. Nerves coming from an organ pass through the teeth and then to the brain as well as the spinal cord. So a dental root infection affects the associated organ, the most common of which is the heart, in addition to the fact that these bacteria affect it directly. Therefore, nutrition is very important to preserve the teeth, which in themselves are also a measuring rod of the general state of the body in general. But dental deterioration or wear depends on what you eat, and many times the consumption of hard things produces a very strong wear. Like, for example, you can see or you can tell what social stratum an Egyptian mummy was from the state of his teeth, because the population in general consumed a lot of wheat bread. And to make the flour, they used rudimentary stone mills, until well into the modern age, moreover, that gave off stone grit during the process, causing the teeth to wear down when biting into the bread. Some Egyptian kings, misnamed pharaohs, had perfect teeth, testimony to a more elite diet or non-human diet, because many were not human. The same thing happens to this day. It depends on the diet. And again, diets high in carbohydrates and sugars produce dental deterioration and deterioration of the rest of the body. Even the ocular cataracts that are very frequent on Earth are not due to exposure to the sun, but to an internal calcification as a reaction to a high content of sugar in the blood or hyperglycemia.
The alum stone that is so highly recommended, is it any good?
It is basically aluminum and is toxic to the nervous system.
They say that aluminum salts have a larger molecule and that it doesn't get into the skin. But I wonder.
I would have to see the chemical compounds of that aluminum to rule out its use or to see that it's not so bad. But getting ahead of myself here, aluminum in its more absorbable forms, that is to say in solutions or powder, is toxic to the brain and nerves mainly. It would be necessary to see the compounds first, but I don't like aluminum near the organism. For example, they use it a lot for airplanes, but not here. Here they use polymorphs or titanium, which are more stable chemically and molecularly.
Stainless steel pots are the best to use. Aluminum ones are not. And the Teflon ones?
Yes, those are the best. Stainless steel. As long as the Teflon is in good condition, yes. If it is scratching and flaking off, no.
And the titanium ones?
Titanium pots and pans, yes, if you can get them. It is like steel. It is stable and healthy.
Is it good to drink seawater?
Yes, in small amounts or diluted 2 parts water to 1 part salt. Forget that if you are on a raft in the middle of the ocean. It does not cause kidney failure, as they say, in the short term. In the medium and the long term, it can cause problems. You don't need large amounts. Also, genuine sea salt provides you with almost the same minerals. The problem is to find seawater that is not contaminated. So drinking it directly from the beach is not advisable, especially in a hotel zone. If you are on an island in the South Pacific, okay, yes.
Can you drink ocean water if you are on a raft?
As a last resort, yes, if you have healthy kidneys. It will do you more harm to not drink water than the minerals in the water. Many have died of thirst while floating on a raft in the ocean. Excuse me, but that is irrational, bordering on the absurd. Like they take it for granted that seawater is like poison for the kidneys or something, when it is pure life. Another thing not mentioned in this topic is that the composition and mineral density varies depending on where the sample is taken from. So deep sea water has less density than coastal seawater. Just remember that it is contaminated, and you only need small portions to gain benefits. Also, swimming in salt water and staying in that water for an hour or so afterwards, even if it dries on the skin, brings many benefits against skin diseases and problems.
Does seawater regenerate DNA?
Not directly, but it does contain many minerals that are extremely beneficial for the proper functioning of the body, and with that, the body would regenerate to one degree or another the DNA. Sea rock salt also gives you almost the same or the same as seawater. You have to consume that instead of white table salt, which in many cases has sodium fluoride, which is a neurotoxicant that has nothing to do with tooth decay.
Robert, it is said that zeolite volcanic clay is good to remove nanotechnology and metals from the body.
No comment, but I doubt it very much. Volcanic clay is basically stone, therefore full of heavy metals as well. I have no reference to argue anything here, but I don't see the logic directly.
Would gold implanted subdermally or subcutaneously serve the same purpose as monatomic gold?
No, monoatomic gold has a different molecular or atomic structure. The gold serves to improve aspects of health that require it in micro quantities, yes. It helps the regeneration of cells and their correct replication, but it does not produce the same effect as monoatomic gold.
Can you get monatomic gold out of seawater?
No, or you would need huge amounts to filter the gold out of it first.
More recent questions. What can you share with us about combinations of nutrients, foods, that we could consume that potentiate each other? Like, for example, tortilla and beans together form a more stable and complete protein, Earth nutritionists say.
I don't know about combining nutrients. However, I take it as something obvious, since everything combines anyway, forming other nutrient chains of all kinds. But what I have seen as evidence is that there is nothing that can really replace the consumption of fat and animal protein. Plants are full of anti-nutrients, which almost nobody knows, or few people. That is to say that every plant, even the most edible ones, have their own chemical compounds designed to harm whoever eats them, insects and animals that coincidentally will eat these plants. This is a method of protection against predation, since terrestrial plants cannot run away. On other planets, some species can, but that's another story. Herbivores have their own enzymatic protection within their large digestive systems. Humans have no such protection, causing anti-nutrients to accumulate, causing damage, short, medium, or long term, depending on the sensitivity of the individual. That is why no single diet can be imposed on all human beings, as they are not equal.
But Taygetans eat plants. Those plants do not harm them?
As I said before, Taygetans have digestive systems with enzymes that are very different from humans. They are not the same species. They are more herbivores. And yes, of course, the plants in Taygeta also have anti-nutrients. And I wouldn't say they don't harm them. Rather, I would say they don't do that much harm. Just saying, I don't have those enzymes, which is also yet another detail that separates me genetically from Taygetans. Neither me nor any Swaruu. And this surely also applies to many vegans, especially those who have been vegans since forever or since they were kids. They surely have other enzymes. So I insist that you can't force people to eat plants if they can't digest that. From what I understand, elaborating on part of the original question, in many places in the world, the Mexican tortilla is criticized as a carbohydrate that triggers glucose and is bad in general for the organism. What we have seen from here about the Mexican tortilla is that it does much less harm, if any, to the Mexican who has consumed it all his or her life than to an outsider, which is indicative of an enzymatic adaptation to the digestion of corn in the tortilla. Just like being immune to some medication, it depends on the components. If it is a new chemical, the body cannot neutralize it and it accumulates as toxins in the tissues. In parentheses, it is said to accumulate in the liver, but Taygetan medical science says otherwise. On Earth, the liver is said to be a kind of filter. For Taygetans, it is not a filter. It does not accumulate toxins. It changes organic chemical compounds with the use of enzymes so that it can then be harnessed as energy, glycogenic process, or disposed of by urine and colon, among other things. So, to conclude, the tortilla does seem to nourish Mexicans more than foreigners. Again, an example that not all the people are the same.